A very good evening and thank you for joining GBS News at 9. My name is Stephen George and our sign language interpreter tonight is Paul Madenge. Now, Orange Democratic Movement Party and United Democratic Alliance leaders have today defended the broad-based government that was formed by President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. The UDA party, led by Bomet Senator Hilary Kosgei and the ODM-nominated Senator Honorable Irene Mayaka, urged Odinga and the President Ruto to ensure that the national resources are shared equally, as Davis Karani reports.
The UDA-ODM agreement proponent lawmakers have today supported the broad-based government, stating that it will ensure that the country will receive resources equally, hence promoting development across the nation.
We believe that the opposition party, ODM, correctly interrogated the political situation in Kenya and responded rightly. So by engaging the government in a rapprochement that was premised on building one united, inclusive and cohesive nation whose captain, President William Samoei Ruto, is determined to leave nothing to chance in seeing to implementation of progressive and transformational economic policies.
The country now enjoys, through the rapprochement between Mr. Odinga and the President, to ensure that the livelihoods of people in Nyanza and the rest of the country is uplifted. That should be the priority today.
The leaders also urged the President and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to promote and ensure that the country does not fall back into a dimming zone that was experienced on June 2024, which tore the country apart.
Practically speaking, we only have one practical budgetary cycle that is coming in front of us, and that is the 2025-2026 budget cycle. It is upon us, it is incumbent upon us who are leaders in this country and young leaders to ensure that each and every part of this country is actually covered in the development aspect of our country.
There is no better way than what His Excellency the President is doing at the moment in saying, let all Kenyans come on board. Let's talk, everybody. And as young leaders, we will be there. We will support the efforts of His Excellency the President and His Excellency the Prime Minister Raila Odinga, so that we have a stable country.
The peace brought by the agreement signed on February this year, which harmonized the country and was championed by Odinga and President William Ruto, was more significant in the country.
Tumeweka sahihi kwa mkataba ya kuleta ulewano.
But even as we focus on the achievement that will be achieved by the broad-based government, will Odinga and President William Ruto work together ahead of the 2027 general elections? A clock is ticking, and obviously, time will tell. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on swiftly, former Kiambu Governor Ferdinan has been granted permission by the High Court to amend the petition for bail as he appeals a corruption conviction. Justice Lucy Njuguna ruled that the renewed application had merit, giving Waititu another chance to argue for bail. He was previously sentenced to 12 years in prison or a fine of 53 million shillings after being found guilty of receiving 25.6 million shillings in kickbacks from a road contractor while serving as governor. His wife, Susan Dungu, was also convicted and fined 500,000 or sentenced to a year in prison for dealing with suspect property. The court had earlier denied Waititu bail, dismissing his medical grounds and stating that the appeal should be expedited. In the amended petition, Waititu's lawyers argue that serving part of the sentence before the appeal is decided will be unjust, especially given the fine option. They also maintain that Waititu poses no flight risk due to his public profile and permanent residence. The DPP opposed the new application, calling it procedurally flawed, but the judge allowed the amendment, noting that changes can be made if they continue to prejudice the other party. Waititu team must now file the amended petition within 2 days as the court continues to consider his bail.
March 2025, it was brought under the various provisions of the Constitution, and it has sought the various orders. Orders 1 and 2 are spent. Prayer 3, it is that the supplementary petition of appeal dated the 11th of March 2025 be deemed as duly filed. There is an alternative prayer that leave be granted to the applicant to file his petition of appeal dated 13th of February 2025 out of time. That upon leave being granted in terms of prayer 4 above, the amended petition of appeal annexed to the affidavit in support of this application be deemed as duly filed, and the court can grant any other order that it deems fit. The applicant has deponed that the appeal herein stems from conviction on 4 counts of corruption, whereupon he was sentenced to a term of 12 years or an alternative fine of 53,500,000. This application was brought under certificate of urgency because there is a pending application for bail, pending appeal. And on 12th of March 2025, the applicant filed a supplementary petition of appeal dated 11th of March 2025. And when his application dated 14th of March came up for hearing, the respondent indicated that he was opposed to the supplementary petition of appeal dated 11th of March 2025 because in the respondent's view, there is no provision. That in view of the foregoing, the advocate for the appellant prepared an amendment to the petition of appeal, and now he has sought leave that it be deemed as duly filed.
President William Ruto started his 4 days tour to China, and today the president gave his lecture at the Peking University in Beijing, where he stated on his diplomatic relationship between Kenya and China joining a global web for development and proper exchange of goods and services. The president will also be meeting with Xi Jinping of China. The president also spoke on the efforts of the two nations to work on global change, as Davis Karani reports.
The tour to China by President William Ruto is expected to breed development and mutual benefit between the two nations, as the president stated on the importance to promote education by observing the major pillars of diplomacy.
We are proud of our academic collaboration, including the partnership with Kenyatta University in literature and cultural studies. Indeed, education is a pillar of our diplomatic partnership. As Kenya, and as we deepen our focus on science, technology, and innovation, we welcome further partnerships with Chinese institutions, particularly in STEM fields.
This is after Kenya, led by President William Ruto, signed a cooperation agreement with China aimed to foster a proper work frame between the two nations, which Mr. Cheng, the director of Chongqing Company, stated on their commitment to continue investing in the country.
All the factory buildings have been leased to 4 government factories. The first factory has been put into production, and the other 3 factories will start operation within this year. More than 15,000 jobs will be created by our investment. Our 3 years investment experience in Kenya proves that it has a very bright future to invest in manufacturing industry in Kenya.
The president also stated on the Kenya's efforts to manage global climate change, while stating on the strides that Kenya is making to manage the entire situation.
Kenya, on the other hand, generates 90% of its electricity from renewables and has enshrined climate adaptation in law. Nairobi is now home to the 2nd headquarters of the Global Center on Adaptation, the first global institution co-located in both the Global North and Global South. I wish to commend China for its leadership in renewable energy technologies, particularly in solar power and electric vehicles.
Davis Karani for GBS Ambassador.
Former Migori Governor Okoth Obado has taken the stand in his ongoing murder trial, offering an extensive defense regarding his relationship with the late university student Sharon Otieno. The former governor was early found to have a case to answer in connection with Sharon's brutal murder, which shook the nation in 2018.
Former Migori Governor Okoth Obado has defended himself in court in connection with the murder of university student Sharon Otieno, insisting that he had already confessed to his wife about the affair and had taken steps to end the relationship before Sharon's tragic death. He also recounted a meeting involving his wife, a journalist, and an unidentified man, where details about the affair and an attempt media leak were discussed. In further testimony, Obado described a meeting with journalist Lawrence Muller where Sharon's housing demands were discussed. According to Obado, Sharon through Muller rejected his offer to build a 3 million house in Homa Bay, instead requesting a plot in Kisumu, an opinion he declined, emphasizing that he only supported the idea of building a house in a rural area.
Sharon's proposal for housing in Nairobi or in Kisumu were discussed, and I discouraged them, and Muller also concurred with my view. So I asked Muller to go and relay to her that it would be much more easier for her to be settled around Homa Bay, not in town, but just around Homa Bay. And even a proposal of buying land and building maybe a house of 3-bedroom house that would cost around 3 million.
Obado also said he had promised to support Sharon during her pregnancy, including providing her with medical cover and arranging a temporary rental house, which she had agreed to occupy while waiting for the construction of her permanent home.
I had agreed that I would be channeling my assistance through Muller, and that was being done, even though we had terminated the relationship. But I was still assisting. A proposal that was brought to me by Muller to move from my mother's house to a rental building or a rental house in town, as we await for the house that was to be constructed. That she had now accepted.
Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
9 family members, including a high school candidate, died in a suspected arson attack at Upanda village in Sigomore ward, Ugunja sub-county. Villagers, enraged by the tragedy, vandalized and set fire to the home of the man suspected of hiring the arsonist. The victims, Oma Opondo Adala, his wife Jacinta Nyango, and their 7 children were heard crying for help after midnight, but rescuers arrived too late as the house had been locked from outside and set ablaze. Neighbor Sylvester Omondi, among the first to respond, said he smelled petrol and saw an unidentified person fleeing the scene. He struggled to break into the burning house as the children called out his name. Oma's brother-in-law, Captain Leonard Ochieng, alleged that the attack may be linked to a long-standing land dispute with a neighbor, Owino, who had illegally acquired the family's land. A court recently ordered Owino's eviction, which he had opposed, reportedly threatening retaliation. Sigomore MCA Andrew Omwende condemned the incident and urged residents to remain calm and investigations proceed. Local residents Lena Mwanzia described the act as quite inhuman. Now, acting Siaya County Police Commander Evelyn Kemboi confirmed that the deaths and said investigations are ongoing.
Ilikuwa saa 6 usiku na nilikuwa nimeamshwa na harufu ya petroli penye nilikuwa nalala. Nikaamka nikapata nyumba imewakishwa moto na nikaenda kusaidia ndugu ya bosi wangu kwa vile mimi nafanya kazi hapo. Lakini kufika nilipata moto bado haikuwa imeenea sana, nikapiga nduru lakini watu hawakutokea. Nilipiga nduru kwa dakika 10 lakini hakuna mtu ambaye alitokea. Sasa watoto walikuwa wanalia na juu walikuwa wamewasha moto kwa mlango na wakaongeza kifuli kwa mlango, hawangeweza kutoa kifuli. Sasa moto iliwazidi na wote wakakufa moja baada ya mwingine. Watoto wakilia na jina yangu kwa sababu mimi ndio wanakuanga karibu nao. Mtoto mkubwa wao alikuwa umri wa miaka 17, anafuatwa na mwingine 15 na mwingine 13 na mwingine 11, mwingine 8, mwingine 7 na mwishowe tumepata last born alikuwa 6 months.
Na wamekuwa na shida ya nyumba kwa muda mrefu. Yule jamaa tunahofia kuwa ametenda hivi vyote ni alichukua shamba kulingana na vile alikuwa mjomba huyu, yani shemeji ya bwanangu, dadangu alikuwa amekufa na sasa alikuwa anasafirishwa kutoka Nairobi akiletwa hapa nyumbani. Alipewa shamba kiasi kidogo, lakini alienda akachukua shamba kubwa eka karibu 2. Sasa wamekuwa na mzozo, wakienda kotini kila wakati, akaambiwa kuwa atahama katika ile shamba baada ya kumaliza ile kesi. Alishindwa kuwa alichukua shamba kubwa kushinda ile ilikuwa inatakikana na alikuwa amekataa. Mtu mwenyewe namjua kwa jina Owino na amejenga hapa karibu, ndio nafikiri ile nyumba inachomwa na wenyeji wale wamekasirika.
Bado tuwezi sema ijathibitisha kamili, but vile nimesikia vile wenyeji wa Sigombe wanasema kwamba hii kisanga imefanyika na mmoja wa familia ya hii familia tunazungumza juu yake. Ukweli ni kwamba kibui imepatikana hapo na kibui ya petroli, na hiyo ni thibitisho kubwa kabisa, hiyo ni exhibit kabisa kwamba kama imepatikana kwa boma la mtu na hii boma imechomeka, kumaanisha kwamba kuna mtu amefanya hiyo. So kile naweza sema kama mwakilishi wa hii eneo, naomba serikali, kupoteza watu 9 si kitu rahisi. Familia wamehuzunika ile mbaya. Situation vile nimeona hapa, situation is tense. Anything can happen right now as we speak. Naweza sema kwamba serikali ikuje haraka iwezekanavyo, justice ipatikane haraka iwezekanavyo, la sivyo wananchi wanaweza chukua sheria mkono wao. Wakichukua inaweza kuwa mbaya sana.
Kitu ambacho imetendeka siku ya leo hapa Sigombe tujawahi iona. Tunasikiaga tu huko Migori na Homa Bay, lakini leo imetufikia sisi wana Sigombe, na kwa hakika tuko na huzuni sana, mpaka hata tuwezi kuongea maneno mingi. Yule mwenye ambaye ametenda ile tendo, tunashindwa kama kwa kweli alikuwa na utu, ama hata kama ni nini ya ambacho alifikiria, ama hawa watu ambaye wamekufa mpaka watoto, kuna mpaka mtoto wa miezi 6, sijui ni deni gani ambaye amekuwa nayo, ndio walikuwa na wadai mpaka akaona tu aweze kuteketeza mpaka innocent people, watoto ambaye waezi kujitetea. Hiyo tu ndio naweza kusema. Leo imetustua kabisa, wana Sigombe tuko na huzuni wote.
Hope they get the justice. It's time for us to take a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 21144. We'll be right back.
Water remains to be the world's most precious commodity, but is the most misused. In times of drought, saving water is the only solution to making sure you have it. Don't use the shower when water is scarce. Instead, use the basin while bathing. Repair all leaking taps and pipes. Wash your car only whenever necessary. If not, use a piece of cloth to wipe it clean. Do not use the hose pipe to water your garden. Instead, use the water you clean your vegetable with to water your flowers. Do not release wastewater into rivers. Note that your downstream is someone else's upstream. Of all the waters available on Earth, only 1% is fit for human consumption. Every drop counts.
Kid's Mind on GBS TV.
Today we're going to make ta-da! A boba tea letter set.
We are moving to singing class.
Skinamarinky dinky ding, skinamarinky doo. I love you.
The tortoise and the hare. Friends, do you know about this story?
Now you're finished to make.
Enjoy yourselves, everybody.
Everywhere, GBS.
And welcome back. Now, a magistrate presiding over the case of 4 suspects charged with smuggling garden ants has set their sentencing date to May 7th this year during a hearing in Nairobi on Wednesday. Magistrate Njeri Thuku made the ruling after receiving the victim impact report from the Kenya Wildlife Services officials. Lonnie David and Seep, 2 19-year-olds who were arrested on April 5th with 5,000 ants at a guest house, appeared distraught during their appearance before a magistrate in Nairobi and were comforted in the courtroom by relatives. They told the magistrate they were collecting the ants for fun and did not know what it was all about being illegal.
A victim impact statement, which I will read the title as it is: Illegal Ant Trafficking from Kenya to Asia, Europe and America. So it explains in this instance why the live ants were being trafficked. And therefore, I am not sentencing today. The sentence will take place on the 7th of May at 9:30. Those of you who come from different systems that work differently, please understand our system. This is how it works.
Pope Francis' coffin has arrived at St. Peter's Basilica, where he will lie in state to allow the Catholic faithful to pay their last respect before his funeral that is expected to be attended by world leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump. Bells tolled slowly as the coffin entered the Basilica at 9:30 a.m. local time, 3:30 a.m. East African time Wednesday, while mourners in the piazza outside broke into applause. The Litany of Saints, a formal prayer of the Roman Catholic Church, is now underway at Basilica. Today's procession began with Pope Francis' body being moved from the chapel of the Casa Santa Marta residence, where he lived during his papacy. The procession traveled through Piazza Santa Marta and the Piazza dei Romani, passing through the Arch of Bells and into St. Peter's Square before entering St. Peter's Basilica through the central door. Now, prior to the procession, Kamalengo Kevin Farrell, the cardinal tasked with arranging the papal funeral and conclave, held a brief service in the chapel of Casa Santa with a short
Dominus vobiscum. Et consiglio tuo. Lectio Sancti Evangelii secundum Ioanne. Gloria tibi, Domine.
A massive wildfire continues to burn through Ocean County, New Jersey, scorching thousands of acres and forcing more than 3,000 residents to evacuate. The fire spread rapidly due to strong winds and dry conditions, threatening over 1,000 structures and closing a major stretch of the Garden State Parkway. Fire crews are working around the clock to contain the blaze as officials monitor changing weather conditions and the ongoing risk to nearby communities.
A massive wildfire continues to ravage parts of Ocean County, New Jersey, burning over 8,000 acres with only 10% containment. The fire has forced more than 3,000 residents to evacuate their homes and threatened over 1,000 structures. A portion of the Garden State Parkway was shut down due to the intense smoke and flames. Firefighting crews launched a backfiring operation on Tuesday, but strong winds earlier in the day fueled the fire's rapid spread. Emergency shelters have been set up to assist evacuees, while the cause of the fire still remains under investigation. Conditions are gradually improving as the winds, which had previously intensified the flames, have calmed down. Satellite imagery revealed the wildfire's heat signature, confirming the fire's severity, especially during the peak hours of the afternoon. Despite some relief from the wind, firefighters are still facing challenges due to low humidity, which is expected to persist. As crews continue their efforts to control the blaze, authorities are closely monitoring the situation, and residents in affected areas remain on high alert. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Cameroon is facing a major education crisis this week as thousands of teachers walk off the job in a coordinated national strike dubbed École Morte, which means dead school. The movement has brought learning to a halt across the country. At the heart of protest, a call for urgent reforms to fix what unions say is a broken system. Here is more on the strike shaking the nation's classrooms.
Schools across Cameroon have shut down as teachers launch a 4-day national-wide strike demanding urgent reforms. The École Morte movement, backed by over a dozen unions, highlights deep frustrations over poor conditions and a lack of progress on long-standing issues. Key demands include a national forum to rethink education, better recognition of teachers' special status, and a collective agreement for private school educators. Despite recent talks with the government, unions say action has been too little, too late. Therefore, teachers are calling for real change, not promises. As classrooms remain empty, the pressure is now on the government to respond with solutions that respect and support the profession. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
We are taking a short break. Keep your feedback streaming into our social media platform at GBS TV Africa. The SMS line is 214. We'll be right back.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu. People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by the Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you we can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
ati Raila ataingia UDA.
Hiyo ni ndoto. Mimi yote nasema
hawezi, sababu
nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha. Kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD, nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rahisi.
Usikose, ingia kwenye GBS TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
if the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
GBS Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
Topic of discussion leo is a hustle culture. Hustle culture, and this is working smart versus working hard.
Working hard is where nina hustle. I'm working like a donkey.
Unaweza pata maybe ulisoma, yes, maybe kumaliza shule, maybe hii inahitaji maybe diploma, maybe ulifika certificate level. So I feel pia knowledge inachangia sana.
Yes,
watu kukua kwa informal.
You have to like plan. You also have to delegate, and it's also sometimes about convenience. What is convenience for you?
Tunaweza work smart hata kama ni kwa informal jobs. Tuki-apply hiyo working smart, we can do something. Si lazima tu ikuwe ni kazi ile uko chini.
I'm picking a dare. What? Call your mom or dad and sing the chorus of their favorite song loudly. Mama Vanessa,
just a sing.
We are live on TV. I need to.
Which TV?
GBS TV. I'm on the youth hub and they want me to sing you a song. I've been dared to sing your favorite song. So
no, don't sing that one, man.
No.
Sing yours.
No, I will sing a nice one. I know many of your songs.
Sing daddy's song.
I sing daddy's song, fine.
Loudly, please.
I love you.
Shout.
You're my baby. I love you. You're the best. Bye, mommy. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
I go.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the international news. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has cancelled his scheduled visit to London, leading to the postponement of key talks between American, European and Ukrainian officials. The meeting, originally planned to include top foreign ministers, was expected to build on last week's discussions in Paris. Meanwhile, Russian forces destroyed a key energy facility in South Ukraine earlier today. Here's more on the story.
Rubio cancelled a meeting regarding a ceasefire proposal for Ukraine. Rubio's decision reflects growing concerns that Ukraine and Russia may return to a firmer stance, making compromise less likely. While technical meetings in London will still take place, the absence of high-level figures signals a lack of unified momentum. US President Donald Trump had recently pushed for rapid progress, warning that the US could disengage without meaningful movement, though some of Washington's proposals, like recognition of Russia's annexation of Crimea, have been rejected by both Europe and Ukraine. Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, is set to meet Putin in Russia and discuss issues related to sanctions and security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia attacked a key energy facility in southern Ukraine. The targeted infrastructure was essential for powering the city of Kherson, which now faces a blackout as emergency crew assesses the damage and begin restoration efforts. The latest assault underscores Russia's continued strategy of targeting Ukraine's energy facility, weaponizing darkness against civilians. As power cuts ripple through the region, the humanitarian impact deepens, highlighting the urgent need for increased international support not only for Ukraine's defense, but for the protection and repair of its civilian infrastructure. This is Abdi Hamid Ali, GBS News.
Tensions between Israel and Lebanon escalated again after an Israeli drone strike killed a senior commander from the Sunni Islamist militant group. The Israeli military confirmed that the strike, identifying the target as a key figure linked to Hamas, accused of orchestrating cross-border attacks. Meanwhile, tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East as Israel reported a potential missile interception over its territory earlier today. Air raid sirens were triggered in several areas, sparking concern, but no casualties have been reported yet. Abdi reports.
The Israeli military conducted a drone strike, killing a senior commander of a Sunni Islamist group called Jam'a Islamiyah. The commander played a critical role in planning hostile operations against Israeli troops along the northern border. His assassination occurred as he traveled from his home to his office in the Lebanese capital. Jam'a Islamiyah confirmed his death, describing him as a leader of the group's armed wing, the Fajr Forces, a faction responsible for multiple rocket attacks during last year's conflict. This strike is part of a broader pattern of Israeli military operations in southern Lebanon, where tensions persist despite a ceasefire. The continued presence of Israeli military on Lebanese territory and repeated airstrikes have drawn condemnation from Hezbollah, Jam'a Islamiyah, and Lebanese officials who accuse Israel of violating Lebanese sovereignty. The Israeli military announced it had most likely intercepted a missile launch from Yemen, underscoring a growing threat from the Iran-backed Houthi movement. The Houthis intensified attacks towards Israel in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. This escalation highlights the broader regional implication of the Gaza conflict, drawing in actors beyond Gaza and further entrenching instability. As multiple fronts remain active, the potential for a wider conflict looms, emphasizing the urgent need for diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions and prevent further civilian suffering. This is Abdi Hamid Ali, GBS News.
At least 26 people have been killed and dozens injured after gunmen opened fire on a group of tourists and locals near the popular resort town of Pahalgam in Indian-administered Kashmir. The attack occurred in a remote area known for its natural beauty, drawing widespread concern and condemnation across the country. Authorities say the assailants targeted civilians in what is now being described as one of the most serious incidents in the region in the recent years.
At least 26 people have been killed and dozens more injured after gunmen opened fire on a group of tourists and locals near the popular resort town of Pahalgam in Indian-administered Kashmir. The attack occurred in a remote mountainous area accessible only on foot or horseback, catching many off guard. Eyewitnesses described scenes of panic and confusion as security forces struggled to respond.
We have been stopped for the past 2 hours. We do not know what is happening. The authorities have no answers. We have been traveling since morning from Jammu and our hotel is just 7 kilometers away.
Authorities have blamed militants for the assault, calling it the most significant targeted attack on civilians in the region in the recent years, and that tourists should not feel unsafe since the event is rare in the region.
We are asking tourists who are coming to Jammu and Kashmir not to panic. There is peace in the region and the government is also with us. The incidents will be thoroughly investigated and we need to stay strong and united.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi strongly condemned the violence, vowing that the perpetrators will be brought to justice. The attack has sparked a wave of protests and public outrage across the country, with candlelight vigils and rallies held in several cities. Some citizens have demanded the resignation of Home Affairs Minister, criticizing the government's handling of security in the region. However, Local officials maintain that such attacks are rare and have reassured travelers that the area remains safe, especially with the heightened security measures. The incident has also disrupted tourism in Pahalgam, a region known for its natural beauty and tranquility, as authorities launch a full investigation into the deadly assault. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
Tragedy struck again in Gaza as Israeli airstrike targeted a school and children's hospital. At least 39 people were killed in separate strikes, including 10 at a school sheltering displaced families. The attacks come during an escalating humanitarian crisis as the region's healthcare system is on the brink of a collapse due to an ongoing Israeli blockade. Abdi Ahmed reports.
Separate Israeli airstrike across the Gaza Strip have killed 39 Palestinians, including 10 civilians, in a school sheltering displaced people. The strike on the Yafa school sparked fires that consumed classrooms and tents where families had sought refuge. Eyewitnesses described scenes of chaos with burnt bodies of children, panicked screams, and people searching for their loved ones in the debris. Another missile struck at the children's hospital, damaging the ICU and destroying critical solar panels powering the facility. Although no fatalities were reported in the hospital, medical services have been severely disrupted. The Israeli military targeted 40 engineering vehicles, claiming they were used by Hamas for military purposes. But Gaza's residents say those machines were vital for rescue efforts, especially with many people still trapped under the rubble. More than 51,305 Palestinians have been killed since the war began. The deepening crisis raises urgent questions about the cost of conflict and the responsibility of the global community to protect a group of ethnic population facing a genocidal attack. This is Abdi Hamid Ali, GBS News.
Well, it's time for your most favorite segment of the show, the sports news. Let's get sporty. The countdown to the AFCON Under-20 tournament is officially on, and Kenya's rising stars are settling into their training base in Egypt. With just days to go before the opening match, the team is fine-tuning preparations and building momentum. Let's take a look at how the squad is shaping up ahead to their big test against Morocco on 1st of May.
Kenya's under-20 football team, the Rising Stars, have officially started training in Egypt ahead of the AFCON Under-20 tournament. After arriving on Monday, the team has already held 2 intense training sessions as they prepare for their opening match against Morocco on May 1st. With Captain Amos Wanjala now in camp and only Andres Odhiambo expected to arrive, the squad is nearly complete.
Most of the time when I'm with my teammates as a leader, I usually remind them what we are here for. We are here to qualify for the World Cup, to try to be the champions of the AFCON, because it really means a lot for us. So I think for me it's very important to make sure my teammates are very concentrated. We know what we are here for, and we just keep focusing day by day, match by match.
Coach Salim Babu plans to give all 26 players a chance to shine, starting with Thursday's friendly against Ghana.
Vijana wote wako ready pia. Hiyo ndio uzuri kwanza. Alafu kila mtu anaweza cheza. Kwa squad tumekuja nao hapa watu 26. So tunaweza cheza wote. So hiyo ndio nafurahia, vijana wako ready wote. Kila mtu anaweza cheza.
With determination and talent on their side, the Rising Stars are ready to make their mark on the continental stage. Elvin Muyodi, GBS Sports.
Well, we have come to the end of the news bulletin. It is always a pleasure having you on board. Let's do this again, same time, same channel. My name is Stephen George. Our sign language interpreter tonight has been Paul Madenge. Good night.
everywhere. GBS.